Hey, I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackHere.com, and today we're going to do an install this brand new M4 system on a 2017 Yamaha R6. Okay, we did a little teaser video. That thing's out there, right? This is bitchin' brand new design from M4. My buddy Kyle over there put a lot of time, effort, and energy into this, and he feels that you're not gonna find a better system for your R6. This is backwards compatible too, from 2006 all the way to 2017. They could have just used their old system, which is a great one too, but he felt, you know what, with the new bike and the changes they made, it deserved a brand new system. So here you go, super bitchin' canister, we got crossovers, all kinds of great stuff. In this video, I'm gonna show you what it takes. We're gonna show you some bodywork removal here too, because this is a new bike, right? And what it takes to get this thing installed. It comes with instructions, they're really nice. I'm not gonna read them, right? I'm too freaking excited right now, just like you're gonna be when you open this box to read these things. So we're just gonna jump right into working on the bike. When we bring this whole thing home, we're gonna see if this exhaust sounds good enough to get the coveted Max Van approval. Here we go, everybody's favorite part. We're gonna take the bodywork off. I'm gonna do this on camera for you, right? So if you have this bike, pay attention. If you don't have this bike and you just wanna see how bitchin' the exhaust is, fast forward. If you look at this fairing, right? I mean, we've got like a upper, nose, mid, lower. Man, we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna try and get this off so that this, and this little piece down here all come off together. Obviously, I've taken a little bit of a look and identified where some of the fasteners are. Tools you need, very basic hand tools. I've got a 4mm T-handle. You saw me use that back here. This is an area where the two lowers are attached, okay? Note the shoulder on the bolt. You want to pay attention to that because they were using different fasteners, different lengths. This is a body mount, so I want that. Because remember, my goal here is whole fairing off at one time, not the pieces. Because odds are the pieces are going to be bolted together from the backside. So this one here, I'm ignoring that. This one here, another body mount, I want this one. Note the length again, no shoulder. Steve's like, dude, stop moving so fast, where are you going? Got one down here. I'm gonna take this one, because this is where you're gonna find that the two lowers are gonna be attached, right? They always have a piece that's gonna bring them together. Try and slide, see? Look at that, we are making some official progress. Okay, now, good time to look from the inside out, okay? I can see that I've got a little closeout panel in here using these plastic push pins. How you disengage, push in the center, that's released, it'll come out. When you go to reinstall, you push like this, slide in, push down until it clips. These are totally reusable. I like those quite a bit. There is another type of fastener that Yamaha uses, and I'm sure they're in this bike, that I absolutely hate. And it's a similar clip. Instead of having a center that you push in, right, it has basically a little Phillips head on it. And when everything is working correctly, you twist the Phillips head, and it's like a screw that turns out. Treat those with a lot of respect, right? You can see the mounts here, here, and here. Now that's out. And kid gloves, because oftentimes they are not your friend. Okay, looking inside here, you know, now give it kind of a wiggle. I can see I got something going on right here. Here's a fastener that's from the inside out. I already felt the head of it. It's one of those, my favorites. Got my Phillips screwdriver ready. So it could be hard for Steve to show you much here, but try and hold it, get that Phillips in there. And once again, kid gloves, man, with these. Ooh, all right, okay. I was able to get that out of there. Right, Phillips head, right, those threads. These are not my favorite. Whatever, that one treated me okay. Now, let's survey our scenario here again. Okay, all right. Now, clearly, I need some access from up here. Steve's really tall. I'm not so tall. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab a stool. He'll follow me up here with the camera. Got a push pin right here. We'll release that. Right here underneath the clip-on, you can find that. There's one, I'm sure, further up. There it is. He wouldn't be able to catch that, so I'll just show you where it's at when I get it off. Same gig, the press the center to release. With any exhaust install, especially on a modern sport bike like this, it has a lot of fairings. You know, once you get past this, right, it gets a lot easier. Okay, got those two out. Little tug. I can feel it right here. There's a plastic push pin. Right, goes in a rubber grommet right here. So these clips engage, held down here, here, and back here. Those are your mounting points. Okay, now looking around, I can see, I believe I have two fasteners left. I got one right up here that's going to be kind of an odd angle, right? I'm going to chase that one first because it's going to be the most difficult of the pair. I'm all set up here with a universal, a long T-handle, and a 4mm. Thread that in there. I'm pretty sure this is holding the nose of the fairing, right, together. So, and I've left one of the largest fasteners in place. It's going to support everything, right? Because what you don't want to do is take out one while you're standing up here on a stool and then all of a sudden, boom, thing falls on the ground, you got a big scratch on it. Show you that fastener. Big old head on it, so you'll be able to remember where that goes pretty easily. All right, I'll get down off of the stool. One 4, 1 5 right there. I'm gonna leave that one up top. I'm gonna grab this one. Note that washer. Note the length of it too. That's definitely a different one. We haven't seen that yet. Oh yeah, I think we're gonna be good to go here. Take this last one. Fairings are expensive. Exercise a lot of patience here. Okay, now I want to support that real well. Lift up, right? See how I did that? And pull out. Show you how that was all done. There's a clip here, a locator pin. This is the one that you saw me take out with the long T-handle and the universal. Top mounting point right here, and this is how it all engaged with that black plastic piece of trim. So one piece, man. We were able to get that off in one piece. The other side should be a mirror image of this. Okay, here we are hoping for mirror image, right? Body mount down here. Good practice too, let's not mix up fasteners from one side to the other. All right, kind of keep chasing the body mounts all the way through. This is the most difficult part. I said that before. I think I repeated that because I'm in the middle of it. This is not my bike. I do not want to damage anything. All right, those three all appear to be the same. Now we're going to come up to the front of the fairing and work from the inside out. Same clips that we chased on the other side, right? Looks like very similar locations. There's 2. Looks like we may have a total of 4 here. Okay. And I think I feel one more way down low. And there it is right there. Just got to get that to disengage. And out that comes. If you want to just take a quick look. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All using the same pins that we saw on the other side. Okay? Put this over here, like so. Steve's trying to see, Steve does that. He'll like try to mix my stuff up, so I have a hard time putting it back together, and he laughs the entire time. It's really a lot of fun. Okay, now, this panel here, same as the other side. Release pin right there. I need to slide my stool over here. You know, some of this is super hard to get on camera, it really is, but I think, you know, when the panel's off, you have a good look at it. And if you have your own bike in front of you, you'll be able to connect the dots pretty quick. Okay. To release it, upward pressure, backward, same thing. Pin, 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 clips, slide backwards, right? Just like that. We need to grab that lower fastener. I'm going to put that on top of the toolbox. That way I will 100% not remember where it is when I go to put this back together, right? And we'll spend at least 20 minutes searching for that. And like every other time, Steve knows where it is the entire time, but he sits back because he kind of digs the whole fit I throw, like a little child, looking for it. Okay, same as the other side. Big old shoulder on that. Okay, now we are down to 2 of the main fasteners. Here, 4, here, 5, right? And down here at the radiator, if it's a mirror image the other side, we should have my favorite little clip, right? That I need to chase out with a Phillips. So I'm going to do that and then work on the other 2. Okay, that is out. You can see this fairing is now mobile. Okay, upper fairing. Note that washer, so that's a big washer. Okay, same gig here. All right, let's lift up on this. Get this stuff out from underneath that lip. Disengage, disengage. Pressure here. All right. Pressure outward. And there should be another metal clip up front. Look at that. Okay, kind of an inside out look. You see there's that upper one in the corner. I used the extension of the universal. There's that clip. All in all, not too bad. I think they did a nice job with the way they put the bike together. And now we've got plenty of access to work on the exhaust. Okay, now let's get down to what we came here for, the exhaust itself. Got our exhaust cables, right? And this brings up another interesting point, right? You've got the exhaust valve on this motorcycle. This is going to be eliminated with the full system, so that's right, that's the wrong T-handle, no judgment. Installing this system is going to eliminate that. You will need, on this motorcycle, to do one of 2 things. You can install a servo buddy, we have those on the site, right? From scooter net. Things work great, selling a bunch of them. That will turn your trouble light off, which is going to be on after you do this. Or you can do an entire flash tune, which will get you your flashing, right? So think of it as like your power commander and or your pizzazz. And dealing with that exhaust servo kind of in one move, right? Which is not a bad way to do it. But if your primary concern up front is just dealing with only the light, then you can use the servo body. Now, what I need to do is we're gonna deal with these cables, okay? I'm gonna get a wrench, I'm gonna bust this loose, the jam nuts here, and that's gonna allow me to get the cables off of the slip line. Okay, basic hand tools here still, right? That's just a 10 wrench. Get the one out of the way here first, like so. This. All right, and those are now out of the way. It's gonna allow us to get the canister itself off of the bike. So we're gonna come back here to the mounting point for the can. Save every piece of stock hardware, baby. Even if it's something you're gonna throw out in the end, save it. OE fasteners are some of the best quality. And when you do an install like this, oftentimes it's necessary to reuse some of the stock fasteners, okay? If I would have read the instructions, I would be able to tell you right now if in fact you would be using any of those. But as you've already seen, yeah, I was too pumped up to read anything. So here we are just wrenching away blind. Okay, the cables, right? You know, I've already taken a quick look at that, and to deal with these, looks like I'm gonna need to perhaps loosen the rear set bracket here. It's just gonna give us some more access, visibility to deal with those cables, right? And I'm right here right now, so instead of blazing past that, we're gonna have a look at this right now. And there those bad boys are. See, we've got a little fastener right here. It looks like a little 8. I'm gonna grab that. Okay, that fastener out of the way, and you can see that that is primarily managing the cables. You see the O2 sensor harness also passed through there, so you know, by just getting out in front of this right now, you know, that's something we're going to have to work with anyways, because I do need to take the oxygen sensor off. Center there, we got a little release. Bracket comes off. You know, as we go through this, you know, obviously I don't want to send him out of here with the cables on the bike. So we'll deal with that as well. There's another mount up here. And release that clip. All right, and this is shared again by the O2 and those exhaust servo motor cables. So this really works out because you got to deal with the oxygen sensor while you work on this, and there's a servo motor right underneath there. You also have to deal with the servo cables, so we'll get those out of the way. I'll grab a wrench for the sensor. Okay, got a nice wrench. Bust that sensor loose. Okay, look how long this cable is, right? If you want, go ahead, take the whole bike apart, go find the other end of that cable, feel free. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to twist the harness and the sensor all at the same time. It's so long that you're not gonna damage the wires, okay? See how I did that? That rascal's out. Right. Put that up on top of the hugger. Give you a bird's eye view of what we're looking at here right now. Now we've got our under body mounts, under frame mounts. There's one on this side, and there is going to be one on the other side. This is your muffler box. Remember, that's where most of the silence, the noise reduction happens, and also, of course, the catalyst is in there for emission purposes. Now I'm going to move forward, take a look. Are there any additional mounts? I don't see any. We're ready to take off the header itself. In order to facilitate that, make that a little bit easier, right? Get yourself some clearance up here with the radiator. You can take that bracket off too. I am pretty confident they're going to recommend that you do that. That's pretty standard practice. Please note, I have not taken off the mounts for the system, okay? I want those to support this. Anytime you're working around your radiator, be careful, right? You do not want to dent the fins. You dent the fins, it reduces cooling efficiency. You hit it hard enough, you'll damage the core. Then you got a whole nother issue. Typically when you do this, you're going to find yourself having to go back and forth from one side of the bike to the other. What I like to try and do is start on one side. I'm going to hit everything I can. And then transition to the other side. And repeat the process. This is pretty simple. I think most people can manage this without issue. And this is going to be the area where I'm going to discover, am I going to be able to get this header off without removing that radiator bracket. Definitely a little snugger. This is where that universal really is worth its weight in gold. Okay, halfway home. I'm going to switch to the other side of the bike. I'm going to start here in the middle, work my way out. Once again, remember the mounts that hold all the way to the system, they're still in place, so you don't have to deal with supporting it, okay? Got one left right here. Go ahead and kind of tease the flanges a little bit till they all slide down the pipe. Right, that's just going to make getting this thing off a whole bunch easier. You got a flange hanging up, going to jam you up on the other side. Okay, gaskets, we're going to reuse the stock gaskets. We've talked about that numerous times, but we are going to take and inspect them. We've got two mounts, one on each side. I'm removing the bolt on just one. I'm going to go to the other side. And I'm going to grab the second one. In doing so, I am supporting the system, right, with my left hand. Pull this bad boy out. Okay, now switch hands. Up here by the radiator, man, take a look. Make sure you are not going to tickle it, just like I did. Good to go. I don't think you need to pull that bracket. And here it is. Ugly and heavy. We're gonna go weigh this. Before you do anything now, let's take inventory of these. These are the gaskets, okay? When a bike is as new as this one, sometimes they'll fall out of the head. 2 are in, 2 are out. I've taken a good look at these. I'll inspect those, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do to get those to stick in place after. In a minute, we'll be back with the weight of the M4 system as compared to stock. Okay, let's talk weight, man. The weight of the stock system, right, muffler box, header, and can, was 21.7 pounds, we'll call it. The full M4 system was 10.05, so that is a very significant weight reduction for the bike. To begin the reinstall, we've got our spigots. See, these are all machined, and we have our flanges. Okay, this is where we start. Let's go ahead and first deal with the gasket scenario. Remember, I told you we've got 2 cylinders that held onto them, 2 that did not. This one and the outermost did not hold it. The other 2 are good to go. So let's start with easy. All right, I'm gonna put that spigot up in there, like so. Make sure the gasket's there. All right, I'm gonna hold that flange in place. Reusing stock hardware right now. Okay, I did not run that down all the way. We need to make sure we've got a really good even pull here. That is key. Feel up in there, make sure the gasket's still in place. It's good to go. Even amount of threads protruding from each stud, right? And it is, as you can see, still only finger tight. Now, the other gasket, right? One that fell out. Kind of got that on the spigot. This is one way to do it. All right? I use that to hold that up there in place. Other times I've used some grease, right? Put a little grease on the edges of that, and it'll hold it in place, right? Tiny little bit of silicone, high temp. Just a tiny little bit on the edges will help hold it in place. But this one, we've got such good access, there's really no reason for me to do that. Once again, only finger tight, and we'll do this with the other 2. Okay, very critical now, right? Even torque. You don't need to go crazy here. We're going to torque these down evenly, and I'm going to show you a little trick using some high temp silicone as thread locker just to hold them in place so if they vibrate, they can't vibrate off. You do not want to crank this down to the point where it starts bending that flange. If you're bending that flange, you've damaged it, right? That's a negative, okay? So we're not using a tremendous amount of torque here. So first start by just lightly seating. Each nut, okay? Cognizant of the amount of threads that are hanging out, right? Past the nut. And I'm going to focus on one flange at a time here. You can feel now. Okay, now we're starting to tighten up. We'll torque to it. And just like that. Okay, we're not bowing the flange significantly, right? And it's certainly not loose. Using a torque wrench here to a factory spec, I mean, the flange is different. I mean, that would be an M4 question. I never have done so, right? I always just follow basically what you see me doing right here. You know, just back and forth and respecting the fact that these do not need to be over torqued. Good, up nicely. Like that, right there. Okay. Now, I'll show you what I was going to do here, because we'll torque the other two off camera. Let's get this flowing again. It really doesn't take much. Just a dab under the nut onto the threads, okay? You see, I'm really using very, very little here. And once that stuff dries, it's just going to serve as a safety so that these can't vibrate off. When we come back, I will have torqued the other ones. We'll begin assembling the system. Okay, now we're going to get the system ready for install. They supply a little tube here of anti-seize. We're not going to get crazy with this, okay? This is primarily going to serve as just a little bit of lubricant. It makes it easier to put the system together, okay? And if you ever need to take it apart, it's going to increase your chances of getting the slip joints apart without a crazy amount of effort, okay? So you can see we don't want a ton in here because we don't want to start this thing and just have it dripping all over the place. So using a rag to just wipe a thin film. Okay, like so. You'll see, right? Numbers right there. And you can tell that just dipped right in there because of the lubrication. I'm going to put just a tiny little bit. These crossovers too. Number 2. Kind of dip that in. Work it around. You want to get it basically seated too. Okay, now rotate that up until we can get the crossover together. Compress that just a little bit, like so. 3 into 3. Once again, work that. Until it's seated, like so. Okay. Tiny little bit of lube on the crossover tube. Get 4 to go in here. Rotate up. Get these bad boys lined up. A bit of hand pressure. Slide that together like so. Okay, right now, go ahead and lubricate inside of here, because remember now we're going to slide this bad boy up there as a unit, okay? So we got to get this thing over all those spigots. And the lubrication here is going to really have an impact. So same thing, just a thin film inside of each one. Okay, now the springs. I think it's pretty clear, once you have this pipe in place, there's no way, okay, you're going to be able to get these springs on because they're going to be wedged between the oil pan, right, and the pipe. Here are their supplied springs, right? Different ways to do this. Side cutters, if you happen to have a spring tool, you can use that. Definitely a handy tool to have. Support the pipe. Pull back on the spring. Same time, little downward pressure. Dips right in. Piece of cake. We'll get all these in. And they'll be ready to clean the header, okay? There's spots of this, you're just simply up here, you're not gonna be able to wipe those off. And it is really best practice to clean this stuff nicely before you start it because it'll burn in handprints. Titanium is a little more susceptible than stainless, but still at the end of the day, you wanna clean it off, okay? So, all the springs are in place. I'm gonna head back over to the bike. I wanna get a general sense for position overall, right? With the spigots before I clean anything, because I may need to manipulate some of these pipes just a little bit, okay? I'll just kind of slide this up here, mock it up a little bit to see where we're at. You know what, and realistically, it feels pretty good. Best way to clean this, WD-40 in a rack. We are going to slide the header over the spigots. This is arguably the most challenging part, okay? Because you're trying to get each one of these individually lined up to go over its spigot, okay? And this is where a second set of hands, not a horrible thing to have. Patience is it's kind of like taking the bodywork off this step right here, right? This is another great spot to, you know, just take your time. Remember, you got that radiator right there too. You know, and the last thing you want to do is damage that. Feel like I'm getting closer here. Feels like 3. I just got to get this 4th one to come around. A little upward pressure. And before I put any of the springs on, right, I'm going to work this around quite a bit while lifting up on it. I want to get the pipes all the way against the spigots. I find the best way to do this is to put constant pressure on it from the bottom. And you can see I've got the back of the header just wiggling. Every once in a while, tap it a little bit. And continue until you can see that you've got this up nicely against the spigots. Okay, you can see now, I've got that up there pretty good, right? It is up against the spigots. Now, we're gonna go ahead and put some springs over it, okay? Spring tool is super handy here. Downward pressure. Dink. There are times and there's areas where, you know, getting these springs up there can be a challenge. Sometimes I will slide the springs over the flanges, you know, before I get to this step. This bike's pretty open, so I wasn't too worried about it. Typically, if you just extend the spring like this. You kind of get it on top of the flange, extend it, it'll slide right down and dip in the hole. Grab your spring tool. And repeat that process. I'm going to go over and do the other two. I'll show you one other little trick I have just to make sure you get those bad boys up there all the way. Okay, all the springs are up there now. Now, I'm going to come back over here, right, and just some final wiggles, because now you have not only the pressure of your hands, right? Those springs working with you to lift it up. We're good. That turned out awesome. Okay, here we go. Here is the mount bolt. Here is the lock nut that M4 supplies. You can see it's serrated on the back. It's going to dig in real nice. Okay, let's go ahead and slide that bad boy through. Let's grab a hold of that nut. Like so. You could use thread locker down there if you're so inclined. But with that serrated nut, honestly, that's kind of a moot point. You don't really need to do that. Once that thing grabs hold and you get it torqued, you are going to be in great shape. Get your backup wrench on it. Like so. We are good to go there. That is not going anywhere. Okay, now it's oxygen sensor time, right? Exhaust sensor. Let's go ahead and bring that bad boy back down behind our rear set. Watch this. See, I'm twisting in the opposite direction that I'm going to have to rotate this so we don't damage the wires, okay? Slide that down into the bung. Let's get those threads to engage and unwind the harness just like that. And snug this bad boy up. Okay, like so. Canister time. Before we can mount the canister, I think it's pretty evident, right? We're going to need to deal with the rear set, okay? That mounting bracket, I don't really see a reason to reinstall that. So what we're going to do instead, because we do want to capture the wires. You don't want that stuff rubbing against the swing arm. You know, realistically, it would take a tremendous amount of time before there would ever be an issue. Still, you know, we're going to go with best practice, right, which would be to secure it nicely. I'm going to feed this through the hole where the bracket would have been. I'm going to capture the O2, capture that brake switch, okay? Not tight yet. Let's go for our rear set. Mounts. Thread locker, okay? This is, right, the footrest is pretty important part of the motorcycle, I would say. You know, street bike, you may not have this apart again for a very long time. So a little bit of thread locker here. Right. Not a ton. We want to make sure that he doesn't have a problem with that down the road. Get each one of those torqued nicely. We're going to deal with that cable tie now. See, and that's a good clean look right there. End of the day, that looks professional. Push it back there. Nobody knows. You're rid of that little bracket. Mounting the canister up. I mean, this is where we're getting close. This is when it starts to get exciting. Okay, just a little bit of anti-seize in here for lube, okay? Same thing we did everywhere else. Slide this bad boy over. Get that down to where it's seated, like so. Okay, and let's go ahead and get our hardware, right? Here's the stock bolt and washer. Okay, here is the supplied M4. Go ahead and get all this into place. Okay, now before I run that down, we're going to come down here and we're going to get the exhaust springs out. Need to go to the other side, obviously, to get that spring. Okay, and you probably saw that can kind of jumped when I put that second spring on there. And you know what? That is exactly the reason why I did not tighten anything up back here. I want to make sure the can was seated completely before I did that. Get our backup wrench, our T-handle, and we can go final torque on this right now. You can see this system hugs the bike, okay? This is a Yamaha R6. This is one of the greatest super sport bikes ever made. It is designed to corner low. In order to do that, you need to make sure that you're maximizing your ground clearance, and that's another benefit of a tightly hung system like this M4. My next step is going to be cleaning the system before we do anything. Do not start this motorcycle, okay? Clean it. WD-40, I realize that sounds crazy. WD-40, clean shop towel, wipe all the tubing down. You can wipe the canister down too. You want to try and remove as much of it as you can, right? You want to leave a bunch of it on there. Get it as dry as you can. We'll finish reassembling the rest of the bike and then start it. Okay, look at that. Clean, brand new shop towel, WD-40, okay? Just get this thing wet. You don't need to go bananas with this, just get it wet, okay? And anywhere, right, that you've touched, you want to get all the grease, all the fingerprints off, right? Especially back here in the visible areas. I think it's even more important. Carbon 2. We're going to take a dry one and kind of follow up here and get it wiped down the rest of the way. When I come back, we're going to be ready to put the fairings back on the bike and wrap this project up. Okay, here we go. Reinstalling the fairings. We're going to focus just on the brake side of the bike right now. You can always use the reverse order of the removal process too. But to install, important points. Locator tabs, clips, clip, okay? Come up front here, locator tab in place. Just kind of work your way back, right? Get everything sliding in. A little bit of pressure on the way in. Get it to dip under that, like so, and now it's going to support itself just like that. This fastener goes right here, okay? So we're just going to use this now. This is going to be our point to shore this up. Here he is for the final approval process. Little van man, hot from his birthday party, huh?
Yeah.
That's right. We're just finishing the fairing kit. Did you have fun?
I'm going back.
Well, I know you're going back, but you came into work, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's right, because when you gotta work, you gotta...
I don't know, work?
You gotta work, especially when your dad's as mean as your dad, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. You can see all the fasteners. I'm just putting them back in the same spot that I removed them from. Let's find the T-handle with the universal. Okay, get back up on top. Gotta love how the kid just busts in here too. Right in the middle of the video. So what are you guys doing at the party, kid?
Well, they just water slide and just jumping and sliding down it, and then they just not 20-foot decline. I'm the only one who's all scared. I'm diving and doing front flips off the not the diving board. The little bridge they have.
I love it. Well, thanks for taking time out, buddy.
It's just because of the fish bite pen. That's what it's
Those fish in that pond aren't biting anybody, dude, except for bugs.
They nibble us.
Okay. Snug that one up right. That's the toughest one. You can see I've got the universal there. That makes a huge difference, okay? Once you've got that one snugged up, you're in a pretty good spot. We can get that closeout panel up here. Okay, a little closeout panel. Get your tabs lined up right. Slide it forward. Let's find that Christmas tree back there. Push everything down, get it to clip in place. Looks like we got another one here. I think I might have missed that one. I'm gonna slip that back off. Downward pressure, forward. There we go. Looks a whole lot better. That's sitting nice now. There is that push pin. Push it in. Down on the center. You hear that snap, you know you've got good positive engagement. Repeat process up here in the front. Double check, make sure you got that all just right. It's a lot easier from here. See, I feel the pressure now having this young guy behind me who all he can think about right now is what?
What?
The birthday party. Getting back to the birthday party.
I want to go back.
I know you do, and you're going to be heading back in just a minute. M4 supplied a fastener, a spacer. Okay, it goes right here. So slide that in, catch your spacer, right? And then support it from the back side to find that hole. Hold it. Get your T-handle. I'm just going to start the first couple threads. Come up front here. Got to get that part that attaches the two pieces of the lower together, right? Get that slid in place, because there are a couple of clips there that are part of this. And you need to be able to move this fairing around just a little bit to get that all to engage. Like so. Shouldered fastener into position. We can go ahead and run this down now. Okay, double check that. That is all good in the hood. We can hit this one now. Snug that up. And we'll continue from the front to the back. Okay, you're gonna have one extra fastener now, that one right there, because remember, we just replaced that with the one that M4 supplied and that spacer. Run that one down. Make sure everything's good and tight, especially when the bike does not belong to you. Okay. Now we have another one here at the very back. This is where they marry the rearward portion of that lower. Snug that down. Like so. Okay. All we've got left now is this little panel on the inside, as well as that fairing mount, right, that we spoke about kind of at length here. Slip that clip into place. Like so. Panel. Dip it in. Line up the holes. Put in the 3 clips. And you are home free. I've cleaned the entire system. It's clean, it's dry, it's ready. When we come back, we'll see if the M4 system gets the coveted Max Van approval or not.
I'm gonna have a couple shout outs. Shout out to Ryan, happy birthday if you're watching this. And shout out to M4 for this sweet looking exhaust. And also, shout out to Yamaha for having these cool neon colors this year. That really pops and I like those colors. And now we're gonna start with the bike.
You know what you look like right now when you're doing that?
What?
You ever seen people drink wine and they got to put a little in the glass and they kind of get it going, right? And then maybe they're, you know what I mean? Some of that stuff, looking for sediment and light. The way you were revving that, I think you have a special ear or something. I don't know.
I think with the carbon, it sounds more like a race bike to me more than like a street bike. Street bikes sound really nice. Like the street bike ones, it's basically, to me, it's kind of like the steel or whatever it is. Like, and sounds really nice. The R3 over there and the R6 sounds really nice, but.
So we're good. The approval is here.
Mm-hmm.
Cash money. I love it.